My mom asked me to pay the bill so my unemployed sister could focus on her treatment. Then I found a spreadsheet where my name was listed as the price and a fake signature tying me to her care. I thought it was just a manipulation. Until I heard a man's voice on my sister's voicemail. I don't think I'll ever forget the taste of that tea. Room temperature chamomile. A hint of lemon. And the moment my mom told me I should start covering rent for the whole house because my sister was in a delicate phase. You ever hear something so absurd, so quietly offensive that your brain delays reacting, just to buy you time to stay polite? That was me. Sitting at my mother's kitchen table. My 6-month-old napping in the next room. My husband stiff beside me, like he was trying not to laugh or scream. And my mom across from us calmly explaining why we needed to start covering everything. I'm Sarah. I'm 30. First-time mom. Accountant. Wife. The one who's got it all together. At least that's what people say. We moved in with my mom 3 months ago after she had a minor stroke. It was supposed to be short-term. A few months. Help with groceries, meds, bills. She didn't want a nurse, she wanted me. And I said yes. Because that's what good daughters do. What I didn't realize. I wasn't her only daughter in the house. My younger sister, Taylor, 27, jobless, allegedly working on a wellness podcast, had been there long before we showed up. Her plan? Still unclear. She sleeps until noon. Posts Instagram reels about journaling. Eats cereal straight from the box and complains about low vibrations in the house. But according to my mom, she's going through something. And needs time to find herself. I've given Taylor space. I've given my mom grace. But that conversation over chamomile changed everything. My mom folded her hands like she was pitching a business deal. You two are stable, she said. Taylor's not. I just think it would be fair for you to take over the rent and food, so she can focus on rebuilding. Rebuilding what exactly? I looked at my husband. His jaw clenched. He said nothing, which for him was loud. I tried to respond gently. You mean, you want us to pay for everything? For the house? Groceries? Utilities? My mom nodded like it was obvious. Just until Taylor gets on her feet. You know she's still finding her direction. And you're in such a good place. I wanted to laugh. But I didn't. Because what I felt wasn't funny. It was betrayal. I'd put my career on hold to be here. I hadn't slept more than 4 hours straight in months. I was pumping breast milk in the laundry room while Taylor meditated upstairs with Sage. And now I was being asked to bankroll her healing era? You ever feel like the only reason you're valued is because you can handle things? That's what hit me then. I wasn't the daughter. I was the contingency plan. And maybe I could have ignored that. Could have swallowed my pride like I always do. But then Taylor walked in still in pajama pants, holding her iPhone, and said, without irony, "Hey, do you mind not slamming cabinets during the baby's nap? I'm recording affirmations." I don't know what you would have done in that moment. But I know what I did. I picked up my tea. I stood up. And I said something that made the whole room go silent. You don't need me here, Mom. You need my paycheck. The room froze. Taylor blinked. My mom opened her mouth to respond. But I was already walking out. The tea on the table? Still warm. Still waiting to be finished. Like me. That night, my husband asked me a question I wasn't ready for. He said, "Are you finally ready to stop being their backup plan?" My husband's question hung in the air long after we put the baby to bed. Are you finally ready to stop being their backup plan? I didn't answer. Because I didn't know how. Because some part of me still believed my mother loved me in a way that would never ask this of me. But if that were true, she wouldn't have asked it. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen early before Taylor's daily hibernation ended. I needed to breathe, think, make coffee. Something normal. Something that felt like mine. That's when I saw it. A little whiteboard my mom keeps on the fridge. It used to be for grocery lists. Notes about appointments. Friendly love you. Love messages. Now, at the top in pink marker it said, shared house contributions, let's support each other. Beneath it she'd written 3 names. Me. My husband. Taylor. Next to ours, blank spaces with checkboxes, rent, utilities, groceries, childcare support. Next to Taylor's, 2 lines. One read, emotional energy. The other, creative content planning. I stared at it for a full minute, mouth open. Emotional energy? What does that even mean? You ever feel like someone just punched you in the chest with a smile? That's what that board felt like. Like a slow, cheerful slap. I didn't erase it. I didn't scream. I just took a photo. And then I made coffee and went back downstairs, where my husband was already packing a small overnight bag. He looked at me. I booked us 2 nights at a hotel. Just to think. Clear our heads. I didn't argue. I didn't even blink. We left a note. Gone for the weekend. Please don't call unless it's an emergency. Taylor texted me anyway. Hey, can you be back by Sunday? Mom's not doing well with the baby on her own. Vibes are low. I didn't reply. At the hotel, something strange happened. I started laughing. Like actually laughing. Over chicken wings and mini toiletries and the absurdity of it all. I told my husband about the whiteboard. He looked at me for a second, then said, "She doesn't see you. She sees what you can do." That's not the same thing. It hit me harder than I expected. Because he was right. I've spent years being the reliable one. The adult. The organizer. The fixer. And somehow that made me invisible. Invisible in my own family. The next day we got a text from my mom. "Can we have a family meeting when you're back? It's important." 3 words stood out to me. Family. Meeting. Important. But what wasn't in the message? Any apology. Any acknowledgement. Any warmth. Just business. We came back Sunday night. Taylor was on the couch, scrolling through her phone, wearing one of my old college hoodies. My mom was in the kitchen pacing. We sat down. My husband held the baby. My mom began. "I just want us all to live in harmony. Taylor is trying her best. You're doing great financially. I thought if we could just share responsibilities." I cut her off. "Mom, what responsibilities does Taylor have? Be specific." She blinked. "She brings energy. She's trying to build something meaningful." My husband spoke then, calm but sharp. "She's 27 and has never paid rent. We've been here 3 months and covered most of the bills. We're also taking care of your post-stroke recovery while raising a newborn." My mom looked down, then said something that still makes my blood run cold. "Well, Taylor's never been as strong as you." That's when I got it. This wasn't about fairness. It wasn't about contribution. It was about the roles we'd all been assigned since childhood. Taylor equals fragile. Me equals functional. And in my mother's world, fragile people get help. Functional ones get used. You probably think I should have walked out right then. Honestly, I almost did. But I needed one thing before I left: clarity. Something solid. So I asked, "Would you rather we leave? Would that make this easier for you?" My mom didn't answer. Taylor did. With a shrug. "If you're this upset over money, maybe it's best." You ever watch someone dismiss your entire existence with a single sentence? That whiteboard stayed on the fridge for weeks. Until the day I took it down and used it to pack glassware. The next morning I got a Venmo request from my mom. $250 for household contributions. And that's when I realized she wasn't joking. There's something about a Venmo request from your own mother that changes the air in a room. $250. Labeled household contributions. With the heart emoji. Like that made it generous. Like this wasn't her way of saying, "You owe me for everything you are." I stared at the notification. My hands were shaking. Not from the amount but the audacity. This wasn't about money. It never was. It was about reminding me of my role: provider, peacemaker, permanent support beam in a house that was already collapsing. You ever feel like someone's trying to invoice your existence? That's how it felt. Like my mom was billing me for being her functioning daughter. I showed my husband. He was dead silent for a moment. Then just said, "We're done here, right?" I wanted to say yes. I wanted to pack our things that second and never look back. But I couldn't. Not yet. Because I still had something to say. Something that needed to be said in that house. Face to face. To both of them. The next day I texted my mom. "We'll be home at 6. Please be there. This conversation matters." She replied with a thumbs up emoji. When we arrived, the living room looked suspiciously clean. Candles lit. New throw pillows. Taylor on the couch with a fake neutral expression. My mom was wearing lipstick. You know when someone stages a space like it's for company? Not family? That was the vibe. We sat down. I held my baby tight against my chest. Not as a shield, just as a reminder of what I was protecting. "I got your Venmo request," I said calmly. "And I need to say this out loud." They looked up. "I'm not your landlord. I'm not your ATM. I'm not your emotional stand-in spouse or your parenting partner. I am your daughter." My mom opened her mouth but I kept going. "You call it contributions. I call it punishment. For being the one who got her life together. For not needing saving. So you decided I should do the saving for everyone else." My voice cracked on everyone. But I kept speaking. "I came here to help you after your stroke. I rearranged my job, my baby's life, my marriage. And the thanks I got was a spreadsheet of expectations and a bill for groceries I didn't eat." Taylor rolled her eyes. "You've always been so dramatic." I turned to her slowly. "You mean responsible. You just don't like how it sounds when someone says it out loud." She crossed her arms. "It's not my fault I've had mental health struggles. And that's when it happened. That moment where the anger drains out of you and something colder takes its place. I nodded. It's not. But it is your responsibility to grow. To try. To contribute something other than attitude and Instagram reels. Taylor laughed bitterly. You think you're better than me? No, I said. I think I've been pretending we're the same and we're not. I looked at my mom. I'm moving out by the end of the week. I'll leave the nursery set up. I'll leave the pantry full. I'll leave quietly. Then I pulled out an envelope. Here's $250. Foreclosure. I placed it on the coffee table. My mom stared at it like it was burning a hole through the wood. You don't have to do this, she whispered. But it was too late. Because she already had. You probably think that was the worst part. That moment. But it wasn't. It came later that night. After I put the baby to sleep, I went upstairs to grab laundry I'd left in the dryer. And saw my mom sitting alone at the kitchen table. Staring at her phone. Crying. She didn't see me. But I saw the screen. She was texting a friend. I think Sarah hates me. Maybe I deserve it. But I really thought she'd understand. Understand what? That enabling Taylor's entitlement was more important than respecting me? That I was supposed to carry everything and stay quiet? That my love should look like self-erasure? I went back downstairs and folded laundry with trembling hands. I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I opened the note app on my phone. And made a list. Things I've paid for without asking. Diapers. Groceries. Electric bill. Wi-Fi. My mother's prescriptions. My sister's Uber rides. Silence. I didn't even finish the list. Because halfway through, my phone buzzed again. A new notification. From Taylor. You know you should be careful who you turn your back on. Families talk. The envelope of cash I left. Still on the table the next morning. Untouched. But not returned. The next day I got an email. Subject line, urgent, regarding your mother's insurance policy. From someone I'd never heard of. You ever get an email that makes your stomach drop before you even open it? That's what it felt like. Just the subject line, urgent, regarding your mother's insurance policy. I was standing in the kitchen, baby monitor in one hand, coffee in the other. A quiet Tuesday. Until that line punched a hole through my chest. The sender was a man named Vincent Shaw. He identified himself as a financial advisor managing estate planning and long-term health documentation for my mother. I didn't even know she had a financial advisor. The message was polite. Professional. Deadly. Hi, Sarah. Your mother has listed you as both secondary caregiver and financial proxy on her current long-term care policy. We are finalizing new documents this week and require confirmation of your role. The forms we received were electronically signed under your name and birth date. Please let us know if this was authorized. I read it 5 times. My name. My birth date. My signature. Accept. I never signed anything. I called immediately. My hands were shaking so badly I typed the number wrong twice. When I finally got through, Mr. Shaw picked up with a professional, almost too cheerful voice. Hi there, this is Vincent. Hi. This is Sarah Michaels. You sent me an email about my mother. He paused. Yes, thank you for getting back to me. We just wanted to confirm that you did, in fact, authorize the updated care proxy and expense agreement. I gripped the edge of the counter. What expense agreement? Another pause. Longer this time. Your mother's new policy adjustment lists you as the financial fallback for any uncovered costs during a residential care admission. If her coverage lapses or doesn't meet full need, you be responsible. My throat went dry. No. I didn't agree to that. I didn't sign anything. He sounded suddenly cautious. Are you saying your digital signature may have been used without your consent? Yes, I said flatly. That's exactly what I'm saying. I hung up and called my mom. No answer. I called again. Voicemail. I left one message. Calm. Controlled. Mom. I just spoke with your financial advisor. You signed my name on something legal. We need to talk now. No reply. 20 minutes later, I got a text. Not from her. From Taylor. Why are you blowing this out of proportion? She was just trying to make sure you were involved in her care if anything happened. Chill. You ever feel your body go cold from the inside out? That was it. Because that text didn't just confirm they knew. It confirmed they didn't care. That night, I sat on the floor of the nursery with my baby asleep in my arms. No sound but the white noise machine and my own pulse screaming in my ears. I looked around the room. The soft mint walls I painted. The IKEA dresser I built. The stuffed giraffe from my baby shower. A room I created from nothing while the rest of the house asked me for everything. I whispered to no one. I'm not doing this anymore. Then I emailed Mr. Shaw back. That signature is not mine. I'm not legally responsible for her care. If this proceeds further, I will pursue legal correction and notify my attorney. Please remove my name immediately. He responded in under 5 minutes. Understood. Your statement has been documented. We will flag the form as invalid and await official correction from your mother. I could have stopped there. I almost did. But something inside me, some ancient, exhausted part said, check the documents. All of them. So I did. I went into the shared family Google Drive folder my mom once set up when she was getting organized. I hadn't opened it in months. Inside were scanned tax returns, medical records, and a folder labeled long-term care. Within it, a PDF of the forged form, a spreadsheet of expenses, and a Word document titled Family Support Breakdown. I opened it. There were 3 names again. Sarah, groceries, medical help, rent offset. Taylor, companionship, emotional labor, future contribution, TBD. Next to my name was a dollar amount, $1,460 per month, assigned to me, without discussion, without consent. You ever feel like someone calculated your love? Because that's what that was. A line item in a family budget, filed like a receipt. I printed the spreadsheet, folded it into thirds, slid it into a plain envelope. Then I waited for morning, waited for the moment I could walk upstairs, hand that envelope to my mother and say, you don't need a daughter. You need a system. And I'm not part of it anymore. But that moment didn't happen, because something else did first. At 2:14 a.m., while rocking my baby back to sleep, I got a call. Blocked number. Voicemail left. It wasn't my mom. It was Taylor. And the message? Shaky quiet, whispering like she didn't want someone else to hear. You don't get it. You were always supposed to carry it. That's why she chose you. That's why she made you. You ever wonder if your whole life was a role you were cast in before you were even old enough to speak? The spreadsheet wasn't just a breakdown of expenses. It was a blueprint for my captivity. I replayed the voicemail twice. And on the third time, I heard another voice in the background. Not Taylor's. Not my mother's. A man. You ever rewind a voicemail until your thumb goes numb? That's what I did. 3 times. 4. Each time listening for the same thing, the voice behind Taylor. It wasn't clear. Just a few muffled words, like someone standing too close to the phone. Male. Calm. Too calm. I boosted the volume, pressed the phone to my ear, and closed my eyes. She's not going to let it go. Not Taylor's voice. You better make her. Make me what exactly? Make me shut up? Make me stay? Make me keep playing the role I never auditioned for? I didn't know who he was. But in that moment, I knew one thing. This wasn't just manipulation anymore. It was strategy. The next morning, I called in sick. Told my husband I needed a day, no explanations yet. He didn't ask questions. Just kissed the baby on the forehead and said, text me if you need backup. I opened a fresh notebook. And for the first time in years, I made a list for myself. What I know. My mom forged my signature on financial documents. Taylor is involved and possibly covering for someone. There's a man in their house I don't recognize. They've created a system where I'm both caregiver and cash cow. They assume I'll never walk away. What I don't know. Who he is. How long this has been going on. What else they've signed in my name. You ever look at your own handwriting and feel like you're mapping a crime scene? Around 11:30 a.m., I packed up the baby and drove back to the house. I still had a key. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something new. A red Ford parked along the side. Not my mom's. Not Taylor's. I knocked. No one answered. Used my key. The door creaked open like it knew what was coming. Inside, silence. Until I heard it, low voices upstairs. One of them his. I moved quietly through the kitchen toward the staircase and froze when I saw a jacket tossed over the back of a chair. Navy blue. Embroidered logo. Pine Hollow Financial Services. The name hit me like a brick. Pine Hollow was the firm that handled power of attorney documents. The same firm listed in my mom's insurance email chain. That's when I knew. Whoever he wasn't just some friend. He was involved. I backed out before they heard me. Back at the car, I buckled the baby in and called the firm pretending to be a potential client. Asked if anyone named Eric worked there. The receptionist hesitated. Yes, we have an Eric Stanton on staff. He's one of our long-term estate planners. My blood turned to ice. Eric Stanton. I'd seen that name before on old emails my mom forwarded me months ago when she wanted to show off how organized she was becoming. I hadn't thought twice at the time. Now I knew better. I asked one last question. Is he available for new clients? Another pause. I'm sorry, he's on leave this month for family obligations. Family? I didn't go home. I went to a cafe. Sat with my laptop. Pulled up every document my mom had ever emailed me, leases, budgets, hospital bills. Buried in a thread from 6 months ago was a draft of something she'd wanted my opinion on. A trust document she was thinking about setting up. The attached file had names already filled in. Trustee, Taylor Michaels. Successor trustee, Eric Stanton. I stared at that line until the letters blurred. Eric Stanton was her financial proxy. Not me. So why forge my name? Why send my information to Vincent Shaw? Unless it was cleaner to make the responsible daughter look like the source of support, while Taylor and her partner stayed hidden in the financial shadows. You ever realize the people you love have rehearsed your downfall in advance? That evening, I came home and told my husband everything. The forged documents. The voice on the voicemail. Eric. The trust. He didn't interrupt once. When I finished, he said, "We need legal protection." Now. I nodded. I had already contacted a lawyer that afternoon. But then he added something else. "I don't think Taylor's just along for the ride." I looked at him. "What do you mean?" He opened his phone and pulled up Taylor's Instagram story, one I hadn't seen. It was posted that morning. Just a black background and a single line of text. She still thinks she's the main character. No tags. No context. No name. But we both knew. It was about me. You ever realize someone resents you, not because you hurt them, but because you kept standing after they fell? The navy jacket with the embroidered logo? Gone the next day. Like it had never existed. At 2 a.m., my baby started crying. I went to grab a pacifier and saw a new envelope shoved under the front door. Inside, a printed copy of the trust. My name crossed out in pen. Taylor's name underlined. And a sticky note. "Now you're free. Don't come back." You ever hold a piece of paper so tight your hands start shaking before your mind catches up? That envelope. That note. "Now you're free. Don't come back." Taylor's handwriting. I'd recognize it anywhere. Sharp loops, overconfident slant, the kind of pen pressure that makes the paper bruise. She wanted it to seem like a kindness. Like exile was liberation. But I knew what it really meant. They were cutting me out, officially. And for the first time. I didn't feel sad. I felt something stranger. Sharper. Relief. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, one hand on my baby's back, the other gripping the trust document like it could dissolve if I let go. I read it over and over. My name had been printed under successor trustee originally. A fallback. A failsafe. Crossed out now in thick black ink. Like I'd died. Taylor's name was underlined. In blue. A different pen. A choice. You ever see your erasure spelled out that clearly? Like they'd been waiting for a reason to replace you and now they finally had one. The next day I called my lawyer. We sat down in his office, a quiet space filled with smooth voices and sharper documents. He skimmed everything. The good news, he said, is that they cut your name before this version was notarized. So technically they didn't commit fraud this time. I laughed once, bitter and soft. He continued. But you need to protect yourself going forward. Financially. Legally. Digitally. I nodded. He handed me a list. Lock your credit. Freeze third-party medical authorizations. Separate any joint accounts. Remove digital access to household files. It felt like an emotional divorce. From my family. But the fallout wasn't done. Because by that afternoon, the ripple effects began. It started with a phone call from my aunt. She never calls. "Hi, sweetheart. I just talked to your mom. She said you're cutting her off. That you're refusing to help with her care." My throat tightened. "She told you that?" "She's devastated," my aunt said. "She said Taylor tried everything to include you. That you've been aggressive. That you threatened them." I laughed, this time louder. "Did she mention forging my signature on legal documents?" Dead silence. "I didn't think so," I said. My aunt mumbled something about miscommunication and emotions running high. I ended the call with a quiet, "I have to protect my child now. Please don't call again unless it's to apologize." I hung up. Then came the texts. From cousins. From a family friend I hadn't seen since high school. All versions of the same theme. "It's really sad what you're doing to your mom. Taylor's just trying her best. Family is complicated, but this is cruel." None of them knew what had really happened. Because my mom and Taylor got there first. They pre-spun the narrative. They weaponized silence, mine, and turned it into guilt. You ever feel like the truth is being buried in real time? I wanted to post everything. Screenshots. Emails. Voicemails. The spreadsheet. The forged form. But I didn't. Not because I was afraid. But because I was done performing. Let them talk. Let them build a story where I'm cold, heartless, ungrateful. I knew what I'd done. And what I hadn't. That night, I did one last thing. I opened the old family photo folder on my hard drive, the one I'd backed up before everything went to hell. I deleted nothing. But I renamed it. Before the rewrite. Because that's what this was now. 2 stories. One where I stayed quiet and useful. And one where I stood up and paid the price. The final straw came from Taylor. A text. "Tell your lawyer I hope he charged you double. You're exhausting even professionally." I didn't reply. But I did something else. I booked a cleaning service. One last sweep of the nursery, the one I built with my own hands. The wall still smelled like baby powder and pine. Sunlight pulled in through the blinds like nothing bad had ever happened. When the cleaners left, I stood alone in the room. Took down the mobile. Rolled up the rug. Ran my fingers along the crib rail one last time. Then I locked the door. I left one thing behind. A single frame photo of me holding my baby in that room. On the back, I wrote in ink, "Built with love, not obligation." The next morning, I woke up to a final message. From my mother. No greeting. No apology. Just 5 words. "You'll regret this one day." And for the first time, I didn't believe her. You ever read a threat that's dressed like a prophecy? "You'll regret this one day." My mother sent it at 6:03 a.m. No punctuation. No warmth. No curiosity about her grandchild. Just the curse of a woman who thought her silence was a weapon and her daughter was still afraid of it. But here's the thing. I didn't regret leaving. I regretted staying so long. We moved into our new apartment on a Thursday. 2 bedrooms, a crooked hallway, and floors that creaked like they had a memory. It wasn't luxury, but it was ours. No spreadsheets taped to the fridge. No emotional rent to pay. No Taylor on the couch pretending her unpaid bills were energy exchanges. I hung a curtain rod by myself. Put the crib back together with shaky hands and a YouTube tutorial. Our baby slept through the first night like he could feel it, the shift, the peace. And for the first time in months, I dreamed of nothing. Not my mother's voice. Not Taylor's condescension. Not the weight of a family that didn't see me unless I was useful. But healing is messy. Quieter than you'd expect. It looks like deleting a contact you've memorized. It sounds like not responding when your aunt sends you family updates that are really guilt trips in disguise. It feels like sitting on your new couch, in your new space, holding a baby who smiles just because you walked into the room. You know that phrase? You can't just replace a family. That's true. But you can stop financing the one that replaced you first. 3 weeks later, I got a letter. Not a text. Not an email. A letter. In Taylor's handwriting. Thick stationery. Overly formal. Like she watched a tutorial on how to win back an audience you don't respect. I hope you've had time to reflect. It's sad how this all spiraled over money. Mom isn't doing well. Her blood pressure is up. You've always been dramatic, but this time you went too far. We're rewriting the will. Just thought you should know. That last line? Meant to hurt. But it didn't. Because the inheritance I actually needed, peace, clarity, boundaries, I already gave to myself. You ever feel grief and freedom in the same breath? That's what I felt when I folded the letter back into the envelope and slid it into a drawer. Not to keep it, but to remind myself. If they ever say we didn't push you away, I'll have proof. 2 days after that, I bumped into an old neighbor at the pharmacy. She looked surprised to see me. "Oh, I heard what happened," she whispered. "Your mom said you had a breakdown. That you left the house in the middle of the night screaming." I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I looked her in the eye and said, "No. I left after a forged signature, a fake trust, and a family that calculated my value in groceries in silence." She didn't respond. Just nodded. Slowly. Then turned away like the truth made her uncomfortable. It usually does. I still get moments where I wonder if I was too harsh. Still wake up some nights and expect a war to resume in the kitchen. But those moments pass. Faster now. Because my son laughs in his sleep. Because my husband holds me without asking what I need, he already knows. Because every time I hear a silence that doesn't hurt, I know I made the right choice. Last week, I got an alert from my bank. Someone tried to access an old joint account one I forgot existed. Guess whose name was still attached? My mother's. The bank froze it. I removed all links. Filed a formal request for fraud protection just in case. I didn't confront her. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about repair. And not theirs. Mine. I kept one thing from that house. A photo of me and my mom when I was 8. We were sitting on the porch, legs dangling, eating popsicles. I scanned it. Cropped it. Printed a version where only I was visible. And I framed that. Not because I hate her. But because that girl deserved to be remembered without footnotes. The original trust file? Deleted from every cloud. But I printed one last copy and sealed it in a fireproof box with a sticky note. This is where it ends. There's a knock at the door. It's just a delivery. Diapers. Oat milk. New markers. But for a second, I don't flinch. I just breathe. Because I'm not scared anymore. And that's the real inheritance.